In 1983, BMW built a motorcycle so radical it terrified its own customers. It was faster, smoother, and more modern than anything the company had made. And BMW had a secret plan for it, a plan to kill the engine that made them famous. They called it the Flying Brick. And the strangest part of its story isn't how it was built. It's that BMW quietly hoped it would replace the beloved Boxer engine forever. Their own fans reacted with something close to horror. To understand the drama, you have to understand what the Boxer engine meant to BMW. Since 1923, that flat, air-cooled twin, cylinders poking out each side, had defined the brand. It was BMW's heart and soul. But by the late 1970s, that beloved Boxer was in trouble. Japanese four-cylinder machines were faster, smoother, and more powerful. Suddenly, BMW's proud engine looked old-fashioned. The company faced a genuine crisis. This is the story of how BMW gambled everything on a radical new engine, one it secretly hoped would end the Boxer's reign, and how that plan quietly, spectacularly backfired. Go back to the beginning. In 1923, BMW built its first motorcycle, the R32, with that horizontally opposed Boxer twin. For 60 years, the Airhead Boxer evolved and endured. It was the definition of a BMW motorcycle. Riders adored it. The character, the sound, the way those cylinders stuck proudly out into the airflow. Owning a Boxer BMW meant owning a piece of heritage. That emotional bond was the company's greatest strength. But heritage has a dark side. It resists change, and by the late 70s, the world had moved on. Machines like the Honda CB750 offered performance the aging Boxer simply couldn't match. BMW was being left behind. There were deeper problems too. New emissions laws were coming in America and Europe, and controlling emissions on a big, carburetor-fed twin was hard. BMW's management came to a stark conclusion. The Boxer had reached the end of the road. After 80 years, they believed the flat twin was finished. Squeezing more power and cleaner emissions out of it wasn't cost-effective. BMW needed a completely new engine, one to carry the brand into the future. The engineers tried everything. Idea after idea landed on the drawing board, but most were just change for the sake of change. New layouts with no real advantage. Nothing felt right. Nothing felt like a true BMW. Then, in 1977, one engineer had an idea so strange it made jaws drop. His name was Joseph Fritzenwenger, and his proposal broke every rule about how a motorcycle engine was supposed to be arranged. His idea? Take an inline four-cylinder engine and lay it completely on its side, flat. Cylinders pointing forward along the length of the bike. Nobody had ever mass-produced a motorcycle engine like that. It sounded absurd, but it was brilliant. Laying the engine flat dropped the center of gravity dramatically, aiding handling. Mounting it lengthwise kept the bike narrow and made shaft drive, a BMW tradition, beautifully simple to engineer. It solved BMW's puzzle. An inline-four gave the smoothness and power to fight the Japanese, but laying it flat with shaft drive kept it unmistakably, philosophically BMW. Not a copy of a Japanese bike, something new. And here's a secret BMW rarely advertises. To test the concept quickly, they didn't build a new engine first. According to the story, they took a four-cylinder engine from a Peugeot car and bolted it into a BMW Boxer's driveline. A French car engine in a German motorcycle chassis as the test mule for BMW's future. It sounds unthinkable for such a proud company, but it proved the layout worked on the road. The concept was sound. Now they could build their own. For the real engine, BMW started from a source they trusted completely, their own Formula 2 racing four-cylinder, famous for bulletproof reliability at high revs. They scaled it down to around 1,000 cubic centimeters for the motorcycle. The result was a 987 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled inline-four, double overhead camshafts, and crucially, Bosch electronic fuel injection, a genuinely rare high-tech feature on a production motorcycle in 1983. This was cutting edge. Laid on its side, the engine's spark plug sat next to the rider's left boot, the sump by the right. That flat, rectangular block, low in the frame, gave the machine its unmistakable look and its enduring nickname. People said the engine looked like a cereal box or a house brick laid on its side, and so it was christened, not by BMW, but by writers and journalists, the Flying Brick. The name stuck instantly and forever. BMW tested it obsessively. Prototypes pounded around high-speed tracks in Italy, riders circulating from morning till night, each machine covering tens of thousands of kilometers. They were determined this new engine would be unbreakable. It wasn't smooth sailing. Early prototypes leaked oil, their seals overwhelmed by high-speed running. The Bosch fuel injections struggled at top speed. Each problem sent the engineers back to solve it, again and again. Finally, in May 1983, the first bikes rolled out of BMW's Berlin factory. Every single one was ridden for hundreds of thousands of test kilometers before the K100 was shown to the world. BMW was taking no chances. When the K100 was finally revealed in 1983, it left everyone speechless. It didn't look like any previous BMW. It didn't even look like any competitor. It was radical, modern, and utterly unlike anything on the market. And it delivered. Around 90 horsepower, silky smooth power delivery, and that advanced fuel injection. It was fast, refined, and technologically years ahead of BMW's own Boxers. On paper, it was exactly what the company needed. The engineering was clever throughout. The engine formed a stressed part of the frame. Shaft drive ran through a single-sided swing arm. It could cover enormous distances, hundreds of thousands of kilometers, without complaint. But here is where the secret hatred begins. Because BMW's most loyal customers, the Boxer faithful, did not celebrate. They reacted with something close to dread. To them, this strange new machine was a threat. The birth of the K-Series was experienced as a genuine shock by traditionalist buyers, which was the vast majority. They were gripped by a real fear that this flying brick would lead to the end of the beloved Boxer. And their fear was justified, because that was exactly BMW's secret plan. According to those close to the project, BMW had genuinely wanted to phase out the old air-cooled Boxer and replace it entirely with the K100. The problem was emotion. To the purists, the K100 lacked soul. Its engine sound, though powerful, was smoother, more anonymous, more Japanese, they complained. It didn't have the distinctive character of the flat twin. There was another betrayal, too. Boxers had always been the realm of home tinkerers, but the K100 seemed practically sealed. The owner's manual even glossed over servicing, directing owners to take the bike to a dealer. The connection was broken. And then there were the flaws. The biggest was heat. The cooling system pumped so much warmth toward the rider that it could genuinely toast their lower legs on a long ride. A refined machine with a very unrefined problem. Owners reported other niggles. The fuel pump, submerged in the tank, could be fragile. Some models were difficult to start in the cold. Minor issues mostly, but for a company that sold itself on perfection, they stung. But the real blow to BMW's secret plan came from the sales floor. Because despite the K100's technical brilliance, the old, obsolete Boxer refused to die. It kept selling, and it kept outselling the Flying Brick. This is the heart of the irony. BMW built the K100 to replace the Boxer, but the customers wouldn't allow it. They loved the heritage too much. They wanted that piece of history the Boxer represented, and they voted with their wallets. BMW pressed on with the K-Series anyway. In 1986 came the K75, essentially the K100 with one cylinder removed, making a smooth three-cylinder. It was refined and reliable and won its own quiet following. Then, in 1988, BMW pushed the concept to its extreme, the K1, a wild, fully fared sport bike wrapped in 7 pieces of bodywork, painted in the brightest red imaginable with vivid yellow graphics. A visual explosion. The K1 was genuinely advanced. Extremely aerodynamic, BMW claimed less drag than any mass-produced motorcycle, and it was among the first bikes to offer anti-lock brakes as standard, a true technological showcase. Under the wild bodywork sat an upgraded 16-valve version of the Flying Brick engine, limited by European agreement to 100 horsepower. On paper, it was the ultimate expression of the K-Series concept. But the K1 was a sales flop. Its radical looks divided opinion, its heat problems remained, and its price was high. The bike meant to prove the Flying Brick's brilliance, instead proved how hard it was to win hearts. Yet, as a statement, the K1 succeeded. It showed the world BMW could be bold, futuristic, daring. It hinted at the brand's future. It just couldn't overcome the market's deep, stubborn love for the traditional Boxer twin. And that love won. The Boxer engine BMW had tried to retire didn't just survive, it thrived. It was updated, modernized, fuel-injected, and lives on to this very day as the beating heart of BMW's most iconic motorcycles. Today, BMW's legendary GS adventure bikes, some of the best-selling motorcycles in the world, still use that Boxer engine. The very design the company secretly wanted to kill became its greatest, most enduring success. So the Flying Brick's ultimate irony is complete. It was built to replace the Boxer. Instead, the Boxer replaced it. The K-Series eventually evolved into more conventional machines, while the obsolete twin marched proudly on. But don't mistake this for failure. The Flying Brick was not a bad motorcycle, far from it. It was a brilliant, robust, forward-thinking machine. Its only real crime was trying to replace something people loved too much. These bikes proved astonishingly durable. Owners routinely covered hundreds of thousands of miles on them. Once the Boxer purists grudgingly tried them, many admitted the truth. The K-bikes were superbly reliable machines. The K-Series spawned a whole family: naked K100s, sport K100 RS models, luxury touring K100 LT machines. Under the skin, all shared that same flat four. It became the foundation of BMW's touring bikes for years. The engine kept growing too. Engineers enlarged it over the years into the K1100 and beyond, extracting more power from the same clever architecture. The Flying Brick's DNA ran through BMW's range for 2 decades. Eventually, in the early 2000s, BMW replaced the laid-flat design with a more conventional upright four. The original Flying Brick concept was retired. But by then, it had more than earned its place in BMW's history. Today, the Flying Brick has a devoted following. Riders love these bikes for their reliability, their unique character, and their affordability. The machine BMW's own purists once feared is now genuinely cherished. That distinctive laid-flat engine is now seen not as an oddity, but as a bold, brilliant piece of lateral thinking. A genuine world first. A daring solution to an impossible problem, executed with real engineering courage. It's even found new life among custom builders. The K100's strong engine and distinctive shape make it a favorite base for cafe racers and custom projects. A new generation is discovering exactly what BMW built. Look back now, and the Flying Brick marks a turning point. It was the moment BMW proved it could innovate radically, could break its own rules, and build something the world had never seen. That courage defined its future. Every 4-cylinder BMW motorcycle since Devils, right up to today's high-performance superbikes, Devils traces its lineage back to the Flying Brick. It was the machine that taught BMW how to build a modern four. That legacy is enormous. And here's the beautiful resolution. BMW didn't have to choose. Today, the Boxer and the 4-cylinder live side by side in the range. The war between them, in the end, produced 2 winners, not one. Think about how far ahead it was. Electronic fuel injection in 1983 on a production motorcycle when almost everything else still used carburetors. The Flying Brick dragged the whole industry toward the future, and the K-Series pioneered anti-lock brakes on motorcycles, a safety feature now found on machines everywhere. The bikes BMW's fans resisted were quietly inventing the technologies every rider now takes for granted. So why did BMW secretly hate the flying brick? Not because it was bad, but because it forced an uncomfortable truth, that even a beloved icon must sometimes change, and that customers don't always want the future you build for them. The K100 exposed the tension at the heart of every great heritage brand. Innovate too little and you die slowly. Innovate too much and you betray the very thing your customers love. BMW walked that razor's edge and learned from it. The flying brick was a gamble that half failed and half succeeded. It failed to kill the Boxer, but it succeeded in proving BMW could be daring, modern, and technically fearless. In losing one battle, it won a larger war. Over time, the resentment faded. The purists came around. The K100 stopped being the Boxer's assassin and became simply another respected member of the BMW family. Time healed the wound the flying brick had opened. Today, we can see it clearly. The flying brick wasn't a mistake. It was a bold, necessary experiment. A company confronting its own future and having the courage to try something genuinely, wonderfully strange. Everything BMW builds today owes something to that gamble. The willingness to innovate, to break its own rules, to lay an engine on its side just because it worked better. The flying brick taught them how to be brave. It's easy now to admire the K100, but in 1983, inside BMW and among its fans, it was deeply controversial. A machine that split loyalties, sparked fear, and challenged everything a BMW was supposed to be. That's what makes its story so fascinating. The bike that projected confidence and progress was, behind the scenes, wrapped in doubt, fear, and a secret plan that never came to pass. Boldness and anxiety, side by side. 4 cylinders, laid on their side. Fuel injection when others used carburetors. Shaft drive through a single-sided swing arm. The flying brick was strange, brilliant, and years ahead of its time. And it changed BMW forever. The BMW K100 didn't kill the Boxer. It didn't need to. It secured BMW's future in a different way, by proving the company could reinvent itself, take risks, and build the impossible when the impossible was needed. A radical engine, a secret plan, a purist rebellion, a Boxer that refused to die, and a legacy that runs through every modern BMW. That is the strange, brilliant story of the flying brick. That's the real story. BMW secretly hated the flying brick, not because it failed, but because it succeeded at everything except the one thing it was built to do. It couldn't kill the Boxer. And in the end, BMW was better for it.